Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to another Warhammer 40K battle report. This time it's just me again. We're going to try and get these little narrative 1000 point games out, hopefully once a fortnight, ideally once a week. It just kind of creates something that's a little bit more fun and not as competitive as the big 2000 point games of 40k and Sigmar. Of course, those will be starting back up again, so apologies about the delays in those. But also, if you haven't already, please check out the Marvel Crisis Protocol battle reports. Me and Lucy are having a ton of fun with them. And of course, it is only going to be another few days before restrictions lift further in the UK. So we might finally have some of the guys back. I'm looking forward to getting some games in with Ian, Bryn, Nathan, Craig, all of them. I want to give a shout out to Scott, one of the Patreons, for coming up with this little mission and writing the Death Guard list in today's battle report. If you would like to support the channel, guys, please consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member for early access to battle reports and to have a little bit of input on the content on the channel as well. However, today's video is primarily sponsored by Demonscapes. Both the base ranges used on the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Death Guard in today's mission are provided by Terry from Demonscape.com. I've used the lava bases for the Death Guard, but painted them green like slime, and I've used the paved bases for the Adeptus Mechanicus to show a very much an urban feel. Terry does a whole host of different base ranges. In fact, he's just released a new one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's very much like trench warfare. In particular for Imperial Guard models, that would look very, very cool. He does wound trackers, he does score trackers, he does movement trays, he does all sorts of bespoke things like dice trays and army trays and everything you can think of. Even the little shelves that the Blood Angels are on here, he made them for me as well. So go and check out Demonscape.com, and without further ado, guys, let's go and have a look at the battlefield. Welcome to Rolands Forge, an almost abandoned Imperial planet, where Tech Priest Dominus or Grace Drax is currently working on an STC of an antimatter bomb. However, upon learning of the antimatter bomb's existence, Typhus himself wants to get his hands on it. He wants to pollute it with pathogens and release it upon some other planets, creating more of his shambling horde, hopefully. So whilst our Grace Drax works on the antimatter bomb, trying to recover the STC held within it, a retinue of rangers provide some cover. Can he secure the antimatter bomb before Typhus gets his hands on it? You can see the shambling horde over the horizon, and he works a little bit faster, commanding his troops to keep an eye out and to keep the horde at bay. He's already commanded an Archaeopter Transvector to come and recover him and any remaining troops. This must be recovered at all costs. There is some fast moving scout forces on the way to this location to try and intercept the Death Guard. So just quickly going over the armies, of course we've got a Dune Rider, there is 5 Rangers in there, 5 Rangers on top with 2 Transonic Arquebus, the Warlord, Arceus Drax himself. He is marvelous, he can farm command points on the roll of a 6 when opponent and himself uses them. He also has the Phos Phoenix in hand as well. Of course, we've got a Scorpius there as well. And that is all that is on the battlefield for turn 1. Meanwhile, Typhus himself has taken 2 of the psychic powers from the Fester discipline, because we are running an army of renown today. He has taken Gift of Infection and Pernicious Dose. And of course, he is the Warlord. He has Shamble Rot as his Warlord trait. For the relic, we've gone for the Fugaris Helm, or Fugaris Helm, on the Plague Surgeon down here. We've got 20 Poxwalkers, 2 squads of 10 Plague Marines, 2 Blight Launchers in each. However, Typhus does have a few plans. He does have some reserves in the making, ready to call down to the planet. He has a unit of 5 Blightlord Terminators. Meanwhile, Arceus Drax has ordered reinforcements in the form of a squad of Taraxi Sterilizers, a squad of Infiltrators, a squad of Sulphur Hounds, 5 in total there, 1 Sidonian Dragoon, and then of course the Transvector coming in hot with a squad of 5 Vanguard in there, leaving enough space to hopefully get Arceus Drax off the planet. So the mission, Arceus Drax must hold the bomb by the end of the game. The Death Guard themselves get to the bomb. Whoever controls that, either Arceus Drax or Plague Marines or Typhus, will win the game. It's 5 rounds, it's straight across the board, and the Death Guard are going first. So up first, the Plague Marines are going to move their full distance straight forward towards that Scorpius Dune Rider. Unsurprisingly, the Poxwalkers will advance a total of 4 for 8 inches, and the Plague Marines, Typhus, and the Surgeon will follow. So with Typhus pushing forward, he's now going to cast Pernicious Dose on these guys, which will allow them to reroll Plague Weapon hits. And it goes off on an 11. The Admech have no way to stop it. So Typhus yells at the Plague Marines, telling them to reroll hit rolls of a 1, but also to reroll all Plague Weapons. Well, just as well, because I'm paying 2 command points for Virulent Rounds to turn their Bolt Guns into Plague Weapons. And on top of that, we're also going to be getting +1 to wound, because we need rid of that Dune Rider. We seriously need to hamper the Admech's maneuverability. Right, so it was 2 CP for Eternal Hatred for the +1 to wound. It's 1 CP for Virulent Rounds. So before we begin, Arceus Drax gets no command points back for that, but we have 8 bolt guns shooting, rerolling all hits because they are now technically Plague Weapons, just as well. So we get 1 miss. Now, bolt guns would be wounding the toughness 6 Dune Strider on 5s. However, we now wound them on 4s. They are Plague Weapons, so I can reroll 1s. Wow. Wow. And that's a passed save. Not a great round of fire, but we've got 2 Blight Launchers, rerolling all hits. Fantastic. Now, these would wound on 3s because they're Strength 6 base. Rerolling the 1 for 4. And do I want to CP that? No, I don't. Blight Launchers are -2 AP. Dune Riders have a 3-up save. So I need to make 3 5-ups. All 3 go through. That is 6 damage in total against that Dune Strider from that 1 squad of Marines. Meanwhile, the Plague Marines down here can just see the Dune Strider, and of course, because we're firing through the dense terrain of the Mechanicus Forge, it's -1 to hit. Only 3 bolt guns in range. Rerolling the 3 1s because of Typhus, and we miss with everything. And that is it for the first turn of the Death Guard. But one small mistake on my part. I forgot to roll for my Canticles, and because I'm Mars, I rolled 2 dice. I rolled a 3 and a 6. I did swap out number 2, Litany of the Electromancer, for the Mars specific one. So we've got Chant of the Remorseless Fist, which is reroll hit rolls of a 1. And 6 is Benediction of the Omnissiah, reroll failed hit rolls of a 1 for affected units. Well, most of my stuff's within range of him anyway. So, Tech Priest Dominus Drax commands his units to rally forth around him, and the Dune Strider has come forward, ready to unleash its payload of those heavy stubbers straight into the shambling horde coming towards it. And I keep saying Dune Strider, it's a Dune Rider, not a Strider. And of course the Rangers have jumped out, ready to lend an extra hand. And of course the Scorpius Disintegrator has come forward as well, aiming to lend its firepower into dealing with some nasty Plague Marines. So I'm going to use 2 stratagems in the AdMech book now. Now thankfully, I say thankfully, it's not thankfully, I was going to say I'm still on top bracket with the Scorpius, however I'm not. We're actually down to 2nd bracket, and as a result of that, we're actually going to be using a stratagem to help improve the ballistic skill of Protector Doctrina Imperative, which gives me +1 to hit rolls. However, before we move into shooting, he's actually going to move slightly forward. And whilst one arm reaches behind him into the bomb, another one is going to try and repair the Scorpius. D3 wounds back. That is 2 wounds back, putting us on a total of 8 wounds remaining, which does put us on the top bracket, which means we can now unload our payload of 4 heavy stubbers in total, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s into the Poxwalkers. So targeting all the Poxwalkers down here, hitting on 2s, re-rolling the 1s, no misses. Strength 4 of the heavy stubbers, toughness 4 of the Poxwalkers. We are wounding on 4s. That is a very good roll. And of course the Poxwalkers have a 7+ save, but they do have a 6-up shrug. We lose 6 Poxwalkers in total. Next up, the Scorpius Disintegrator itself. I am spending another command point on stereoscopic triangulation. Every single gun that this thing has is going into this unit of Plague Marines. So here we go, 3 D3 shots from the Belarus energy cannon. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's worth noting as well that AdMech have 5 command points now that I've spent 2. So I am hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. There we go, all hits. Strength 6, toughness 5 of the Plague Marines. That is a bad roll. So the Belarus energy cannon is only -1 AP, so this is 4s. Saves it all. Wow. Next up though is the Disruptor Missile Launcher. D6 shots for 4, we'll keep it. Hit with everything, this is strength 7 for 3s to wound. Oh no. No. So, I'm going to pay 1 CP to reroll one of these. For 2, that puts me down to 4 CP. And 2 saves to make on the Death Guard at -2 5s. Passes 1, fails 1. It's D3 damage. It's 3 damage. It reduces it to 2 because of Death Guard, but I've got a Plague Surgeon here. 1 Marine falls. 1 Marine. We've then got a total of 9 shots coming in from the 3 heavy stubbers. Re-rolling the 1s. And we are wounding on 5s. That's an okay roll. 3s for the Plague Marines. Fine. Wow. Almost nothing. Nothing was done. So we're going to have the Rangers who are taking shelter in the crater rapid fire into the Poxwalkers, and the guys up on the top, they're going to also shoot in as well, and the Transonic Arquebus are going to shoot into the Plague Marines, see if we can plink off 2 more guys. 3 more Poxwalkers slain, and a single wound dealt on the Marines down here from a mortal wound from the Transonic Arquebus. Nothing else getting through. However, Archmagus Drax, 3 command points used. So, not a very good round of retaliation for the AdMech. Archmagus Drax is worrying that the Marines are getting closer. There is a shambling horde coming even closer still. What is going to happen in this next turn as the Death Guard and Typhus push forward? However, before Archmagus Drax gets a chance to catch his breath, in the command phase we are spending the 1 command point that we just gained on the dead walk again to get some poxwalkers back. Ooh, so we get 4 additional poxwalkers back. Of course, we are going to place them forward to try and increase our distance towards the Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, it's worth noting, of course, these guys didn't need a morale test last turn, and the Plague Marines didn't need one because they only lost a single Marine. So, into movement phase. So, the Marines, the Poxwalkers, Typhus, everybody has pushed forward. Typhus, however, summons his Psychic Might and uses Pernicious Dose on these Marines once more to allow them to reroll hits. And it goes off on a 9. He's also going to be using Gift of Infection on the Dune Rider to try and reduce its toughness to allow those blight launchers to do some extra tasty damage. That is a 5. That is a fail. Needing a 7. I'm going to spend another command point to try and get this off. And there we go on an 8. However, Archmagus Drax sees everything that is going on. Does he get either of those command points back? He does not. So the toughness 5 Dune Rider is now going to be the subject of fire from this Plague Marine squad. So this time, just going with the 2 blight launchers. We're trying to save a few more command points for the minute. Wow, so we get 4 hits with the blight launchers, wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. I'll re-roll that because that's mega cocked. So re-roll the 1. That's either a 4 or 5, so that is 4 hits in total. It's -2. 5 up save. 3 go through. That is 3. 6 damage in total, leaving the Dune Rider on 2 wounds remaining, only because Archmagus Drax actually did that repair last turn. But we've now got 7, the lucky number of bolt guns being fired into it. Rerolling hit rolls of a 1 because of Typhus. Still wounding, however, on 5s. 1. That's a failed save. The Dune Rider is on 1 single wound. Meanwhile, the squad on the left also takes aim. 8 bolt gun shots into the Dune Rider, 2 blight launcher shots into the disintegrator at the back. So no minus to hit against these. No rerolls though. Needing 5s to wound it. 2 wounds in total. 3+ to save. And it's saved. 4 shots in total from the blight launchers into the Scorpius disintegrator. 2 hits, needing 4s to wound, re-rolling 1s. 1 wound at -2. I'll re-roll that. That is a 4, that is a failed save. 2 damage on the disintegrator as well. And now the Poxwalkers charge into the crater to take out the Rangers. Only a 3. I don't think that is going to be enough. It's not, because they are going through the crater and they don't have an inexorable advance. They need a 5, so he's another CP that I really didn't want to spend. On a 10, fantastic news. But again, Archmagus Drax sees what is going on. Does he get a command point? No, he doesn't. Still. And the Poxwalkers make it. Thanks to Typhus, however, these guys are swinging at strength 4. So 10 are within range, 20 attacks into those ranges in total. So the Contagions of Nurgle coming into effect here. This will make the ranges -1 toughness, so they're now toughness 2. Poxwalkers swinging at strength 4, hitting on 4s. Are they core units? No, they are not, so they don't get the rerolls. And these will now wound on 2s. Absolutely fantastic. It's not a plague weapon, but there we go. So the Rangers, 4 up save. Only 1 falls. And 4 Rangers, including the Alpha, hitting back. Got 1 miss. I can reroll hit rolls over 1, but it's not helping. I'm going to be wounding on 5s. 1 wound, 6 up shrug. So we basically killed the 1 Poxwalker that got back up as a result of that Ranger. Basically, the way I see it, right, the Poxwalker swarmed over the Ranger. He turned, and his fellows saw him turn and put a bullet in his head. And that is the end of Death Guard turn 2. So the only movement done initially is the Rangers have been ordered back by Archmagos Drax to await reinforcements, and some of them have made it. The Taraxi sterilizers come screaming down, ready to bathe these Plague Marines in flame, and some infiltrators have ran around the side of the Mechanicum Forge at this side, ready to unload their flechette blasters into the Plague Marines here, hoping to slow them down. We've still got heavy fire to come in from the Dune Rider and the Scorpius as well. But of course, Canticles for Mars, Shroud Psalm, and number 5, Invocation of Machine Might. But once again, before we go further, Archmagos Drax is going to try to repair the Scorpius Disintegrator. He needs 3 wounds back here in hope to put it back on full brackets. And he gets the whopping 3 wounds, not full bracket, but second bracket. 4 wounds remaining gives it that +1 ballistic skill, which we need. And unsurprisingly, we are going to open up straight into those Poxwalkers. So here we go. I'm also going to use Protector Doctrina Imperative to give me +1 to hit. That will now get me hitting onto 3s. Rerolling 1s into the Poxwalkers. So 2 2s, not bad. Strength 4 of the Heavy Stubber, of course, against Toughness 4 of the Poxwalkers. We need 4s to wound. That's an okay roll. 6s for the Poxwalkers to shrug it. 5 Poxwalkers brought down immediately. The Poxwalkers are now close enough for the Rangers on the top barricade to rapid fire into them. So 3 galvanic rifles into the Poxwalkers. Meanwhile, we're going to put 2 transonic arquebuses into the Marines down front. So, galvanic rifles. The 2 misses. And of course 6s do improve the AP, but it doesn't matter against Poxwalkers. We get a total of 2 wounds and 1 shrug. 1 more Poxwalker brought down. 2 transonic arquebus shots straight into the Marines down here. 2 hits in total. Strength 7, toughness 5. We get 1 wound. It's only -1. The Plague Marine fails. It's D3 damage. 2 reduced to 1, and then the Plague Surgeon, 1 more Marine, crumples. So the Scorpius Disintegrator, splitting fire now. We're going to put the 3 Heavy Stubbers into the Poxwalkers, the Belarus Energy Cannon, and the missiles straight into the these guys. And I made a very small mistake last turn. That is actually toughness 7. Either way, Heavy Stubbers into the Poxwalkers. Rerolling the 1s. 3 misses in total. That's not enough. The 7 Poxwalkers remaining. 4s. Okay. And then 6s to shrug the wounds. So 3 more Poxwalkers die. I'm going to take them 3 so that they can stay within range of Typhus. Not looking good for the forces of the Death Guard. The Belarus Energy Cannon into the Marines. 3d3 shots. For a total of 7 shots. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling those 1s. There we go. It is strength 6, so we're wounding on 3s. 2 fails. The Belarus Energy Cannon, however, is only -1. 3 failed on the Plague Marines. Now it is 2 damage each usually, reduced to 1, so straight on the Plague Surgeon save. So 1 more Marine bites the dust, but he does save 1. And lastly, D6 shots from the missiles for 1, which misses with a reroll. That does hit, strength 7. That does wound. And that is a 1, that is a failed save. It's D3 damage. 1, can't reduce it any further. I'll reroll that. And the Plague Surgeon fails to save another Marine, so he will take a wound, unfortunately. We're plinking away, we're certainly plinking away. Next up, the Flechette Blasters. That's such a hard thing to say. 25 shots into these Plague Marines. The Infiltrators opening up with their Uzis and going brrrr. I'm doing this off camera because there's a lot of dice here. So I am hitting on 3s because I haven't got anyone nearby to give rerolls, and I've already used Protector, Doctrine and Imperative. However, as many dice as I do have to shoot with, they're only strength 3, so I'm needing 5s to wound. Wow, I actually get a fair roll. So, look at that. 3s to save, followed by 6s. Another Marine falls. We're slowly plinking away. So, as we look across the battlefield, the Taraxi sterilizers their alpha, commands them to open their torches at full throttle straight into these Marines as he opens up his Flechette Blaster, getting 4 hits on the Plague Marines down here, getting no wounds, but his comrades with the Flamers get a total of 15 automatic hits on the Plague Marines down there. Strength 4, needing 5s. Not a great roll. Not a great roll. 4 wounds in total from these guys. -1. 3 up save. And the tank everything. Wow. However, the Infiltrator Alpha wants a piece of the Plague Marines down here and commands his brothers to charge. And with a 9, he makes it. So we've made the charge, of course, keeping an inch away from that Plague Surgeon, just in case we didn't make that charge. However, I am going to use Conqueror Doctrine Imperative for the +1 to hit. It doesn't allow the Tears of Gods to trigger on 5s now, unfortunately, but I've got a fair amount of attacks here and I want to try and do as much damage as I can. So, does Archmagus Drax get the command point back? He does, finally! Finally, he gets one back. So, interestingly enough, I actually have +1 strength, making me strength 5, 6, 7 with the Taser Gourd. So, here we go. 1 miss. No, it doesn't miss because of the +1. But we do get 3 6s for an extra 6 hits in total. Strength 7, I'm wounding the Plague Marines on 3s. Is that right? Strength 7? Yeah, the strength 4 base. Wow. A poor roll. Ouch. Nearly 50% there. No AP, unfortunately. Oh, that is a lot of failed saves for the Plague Marines. Only 1 damage each as well. 6s, come on, Plague Surgeon. Nope. So 1, 2, and there's already 1 wounded. So 3 Plague Marines pulled down by these guys. Wow. So the Plague Marines piling in, ready to fight back. Now, interestingly enough, Plague Marines, of course, being strength 4. Sakaran Infiltrators are toughness 3. They are now toughness 2. Which means with the Plague Knives, these 3 Plague Marines are wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s. So hitting on 3s. Rerolling the 1s because of typhus. Nice. Trench fighters might have come in well here, but we're wounding on 2s. Rerolling a single 1. And they're all wounded. They're all -1 AP. These guys only have a 4-up save. It becomes a 5-up save. Oh, wow. Holy moly. 2 wounds. So I lose 1 guy. And the next one takes a single wound. Tell you what, they definitely got off very lightly there. Very, very lightly. So the Plague Marines lost 5 that turn. Actually, they lost 6 that turn in total. The Infiltrators give them an additional -1 leadership, which means the leadership 7, they need a 1 to not run. 5. So 1 guy runs, and then because they're below half strength, the champion alone is there, ready to continue fighting. The Poxwalkers, of course, don't need a morale check, and of course the Infiltrators are leadership 7. I only lost the 1. So going into turn 3, at the start of the battle round, we get Canticles 2 and 6. So the 2 will be the Mars one, which will give me +1 strength on heavy weapons, which is kind of handy if any of me heavy weapons survive this turn, but it's not too bad. The Marines on the left, however, clambering up onto the gantries, ready to unload their hateful volleys into the Taraxi sterilizers. In the background there, you can see that the Terminators, as per Typhus's call, have thundered down, ready to take on that Scorpius Disintegrator and hopefully smash it apart and get to Archmagos Drax. Meanwhile, Typhus himself wants to take out the Infiltrators that took out much of this Plague squad down here. So that's pretty much it for movement. Going into the Psychic phase, we're going to try and cast Gift of Infection onto the Scorpius Disintegrator. We get it on a 9. And then we are going to cast Pernicious Dose onto the Marines here on the left-hand side. And we get that on a 7, so that allows them to reroll hits with Plague weapons. They are still within 6 of Typhus though, so they were getting reroll 1s, but that is going to be a nice little bonus. But of course, in the command phase, we've got Host of the Destroyer Hive, D3 mortal wounds on these guys, for 3. Wow. Wow, maybe Typhus doesn't need to go for them now. Maybe he doesn't. So, shooting phase, I've got 3 command points as a result of gaining 1 there. And I'm going to spend the first one on the Blightening. I can select up to 3 units in your army until the end of the phase. Plague weapons with the grenade type that those models are equipped with lose the blast ability, have a type characteristic of pistol 6, and each time a model would make an attack, if you're within range, within engagement range, you automatically hit. So unsurprisingly, I'm going to go 1. These guys over here for 2. Doesn't really make that much of a difference for the 3rd unit because I'm not within range of anything else. So this guy is going to get 6 auto hits on these. Blight Grenades are strength 4. Those guys are toughness 3. Dropped to toughness 2 because of contagions. So, and because it's a plague weapon, I'm wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s. There we go. So they've now got a 4-up save. It kills 1. That's all right. That's not too shabby. So next up is going to be the Plague Marines. So next up, these Marines are going to use virulent rounds, which means that their bolt guns become plague weapons. Very, very handy considering I can re-roll hit rolls with plague weapons because of Typhus. But before we start any of that, the 2 blight launchers are going to shoot across into the Scorpius disintegrator. So I do get the hit on 4s because I'm shooting through the terrain, but I'm re-rolling hit rolls because of that spell, and we get 4 hits in total. Bearing in mind the disintegrator is only toughness 6 now because of the other psychic power from Typhus. Re-roll the plague weapon. So only 2 wounds, but -2, 5 up save. That is 1 pass, 1 fail. That is 2 more wounds dealt out to that. Then we have a total of 6 shots from the pistol guy, which will be the it'll be this guy that'll shoot the pistol into the sterilizers. Re-rolling all hits though. Now, interesting note as well, these guys are now toughness 2 because the contagion range has extended to 6 inches. So this will wound on 2s, re-rolling 1s, because it now being a plague weapon, of course. There we go. So 5 saves on these guys. Wow, 2 go down. 2 of them. And of course the virulent round bolt guns. Re-rolling all hits because they are now plague weapons. 1 miss. They are strength 4. The sterilizers are toughness 2 because of the contagion. And because it's a plague weapon, we re-roll the 1. So all of those wounds, I think they're dead. Oh yes, they're dead. And last but not least, the Terminators are going to fire into the Scorpius disintegrator. So we've got 1 blight launcher to shoot in. 1 hit only, strength 6 versus toughness 6 because of the psychic power. That is a fail. And next up we've got the Terminator shooting into the Scorpius disintegrator. I am spending a command point, the last one I have, on Vermid Whispers to give them +1 to hit. Blight launcher, 2 hits. 4s to wound because it's toughness 6. It's a plague weapon. 2 wounds, it's -2. It fails both. I'm going to have to use a reroll here for the Admech. And we fail it. That's another 4 damage, leaving it on 4 wounds remaining. However, 3 CP spent by the Death Guard, 1 by the Admech. And Archmagus Drax does get 1 back. But we've now got a whole host of bolt gunfire or combi bolter fire coming in. A grand total of 3 combi bolters because 1 guy has a flail. Hitting on 2s. Okay, 2 misses. Wounding on 5s. Oh, that is a very good roll. 3 up saves. 1 more damage. Charge phase. We've got a couple of pretty key charges to make. So the Poxwalkers are going to charge into the Rangers. Do I want to rapid fire 8 shots only? I don't think so. So the Poxwalkers make it with a 10, obviously -2 because of the crater. The Terminators at the back are going to charge into the Scorpius. Do I want to overwatch? Absolutely I want to overwatch. So I've got a hell of a lot of fire coming in against the Terminators. Let's come back with what damage is done. A single wound dealt by the Belarus energy cannon. Charge distance for the Terminators we need a 9. Oh, they get an 11. Typhus into the Dune Rider. He gets a 10. He makes it around the crater. And then the Plague Surgeon is going to charge into this 1 infiltrator. And of course, with an 11, he is going to make it in there as well. Typhus is scarily out there by himself at the minute. But there's a lot could happen here. So with the Terminators having piled in, Typhus having made it in, it makes perfect sense to attack with the Poxwalkers first. Now, of course, these guys are only going to be toughness 2, the Rangers that is, because of the contagions. And the Poxwalkers nearly miss everything. Wounding them on 2s for 2 wounds. They've got a 4-up save. 1 more falls and creates another Poxwalker. I don't think it's worth interrupting at this point. The reason, obviously, is because those 2 tanks can only hit on 6s. So, let's see how bad Typhus is going to rip that apart. So Typhus lifts his mastercrafted man cleaver over his head, and Typhus lifts that mastercrafted man reaper over his head. He's hitting the Dune Rider on 3s. He misses with 3 of his attacks. However, it's strength 7. That is toughness 5. And it's a plague weapon. It's -3, 3 damage each. I don't think the Dune Rider actually has an invulnerable save. It does not. At this point, do I want to cause an automatic explosion on that? Probably not, because I feel that doing like a couple of wounds to Typhus probably isn't worth it. It's only D3 mortal wounds, and I'm going to do more damage to myself. So I'm not going to auto-explode it. But does it actually explode? That is pretty cocked. No, it does not. Uh-oh, things are not looking good for the Adeptus Mechanicus at all. Let's see what the Terminators are going to do. Right, so let's go first with that Flail of Corruption. So I get 6 attacks because I've got 3 base. Wow, I actually missed with 2. Now here's the thing, it's +1 strength now, makes me strength 5. That Scorpius is now toughness 5 because of the contagion of Nurgle, as well as the psychic power that Typhus cost Gift of Infection. So 4s. Oh no! It's -2 and 2 damage. That has 3 wounds remaining. 5s. Oh, I'm gonna have to CP this, but it's in that. It's almost pointless because of the amount of weight of attacks from the what do you call it? The bubonic axes. Do I want to auto-explode? Do I want to auto-explode? I will hurt the Magos if I do it, but I could kill a Terminator. And I've got a 66% chance of killing one. I am going to spend a command point to auto-explode. Do I get the command point back? No, I do not. How many wounds are dealt to? In fact, what's the range of it? Is it 6 inches? It is. It's 6-inch range, which does hit me Rangers and the Poxwalkers. So let's start with the Death Guard. Terminators. 2 wounds, which kills that wounded Terminator. My range is down here. 3, which kills them. The Poxwalkers. 3, so do they shrug it? No, so 3 Poxwalkers and the 3 Rangers down here are dead. Leaving 2 Poxwalkers, of course. We've got the Rangers up on the top shelf. 3 of them suck it. And then we've got Archmagos, Drax himself. 1 wound on Drax. He foresaw the explosion. Plague Surgeon up next, but of course Typhus and the Terminators have closed in and consolidated towards Archmagus Drax. It's not looking good for him, but down here the Plague Surgeon gets his Bale Sword ready. He only hits twice. However, he will be running on 2s, and it is a Plague Sword. Plague Weapon, so that is 2 at -3. He's got a 6-up invulnerable save, the Infiltrator Alpha. And he's cut down. which means, of course, the Plague Surgeon can consolidate even further forward. It's not looking good for the AdMech, but there is one final wave of reinforcements to hopefully come and back up Archmagos Drax. He's almost alone. So, as Archmagos Drax faces down Typhus himself, it's not looking good. The Sulphur Hounds come hurtling around the corner, and a lone Iron Strider Ballistari or Sidonian Dragoon comes hurtling after the Terminators hiding behind the drill. We don't have a lot, but overhead an Archaeopter Transvector appears with some Vanguard inside. We've got a lot of firepower to lay down. We need rid of some of these guys. An Archmagus Drax needs to secure that antimatter bomb before Typhus can get his hands on it. So at the end of the movement phase, the Archaeopter Transvector has hovered overhead and has deployed electro-filament countermeasures. That turns off the -1 toughness aura as well as Typhus's reroll 1's aura. As a result of that though, Dominus Drax readies his weapons and aims straight for Typhus. So first up is the Eradication Raid. D3 shots for 2. He hits on 2s. He rerolls 1s. He gets 2 hits in total. It's strength 6. Typhus is toughness 5. Do I want to re-roll this? Because it is a damage of D3 whilst I'm within range 8. I will CP that. I get it. Do I get a CP back? No, I do not. So that is 2 wounds. I'm down to 1 CP though. It's -2. Typhus has got a 4-pin run. No re-rolls. He fails 1 D3 damage. Oh, just the 1. Oh no. And then we've got the Phosphor Serpenter. Reroll. Hits. It's strength 5, fishing for 4s. And the Phosphor Serpenter is actually -3. That is another failed wound. That is 2 wounds dealt on Typhus of the 6 that he has. Meanwhile, the Cerberus Raider Alpha commands everybody to open fire with their phosphor pistols. 2 rerolls, cost of Archmagus Drax. They all hit. These are only strength 4, so we are fishing for 5s to wound. We get 3 wounds. It's -1, which means Typhus has a 3-up save. He fails 2 more. He's on 2 wounds remaining, but the Alpha still has a blast pistol. 1 shot hits and fails to wound. Seeing that Typhus is wounded, the Transonic Arquebus, the Rangers on the gantry take aim. 1 hit. Strength 7, that is a wound. Typhus save. I believe a 3 is a pass. It's not Transonic Arquebus, a -2. It's D3 damage. 3 damage would kill him here. No! He's on 1 wound remaining. 1 single wound. It's down to the Archaeopter opening up, laying down a whole line of fire from those heavy stubbers. 12 shots, re-rolling the 1s. Wounding on 5s. And Typhus, of course, has a 2-up armor. 2 wounds in total. A single 1 here, and Typhus will fall. He makes it with a double 2. This is not looking good for the forces of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Not a lot left to do. Drax has a very important decision to make. Does he trust in the Sulphur Hounds to deal with Typhus. If he does, he has 4 Terminators staring him in the face. Does he temporarily run round to deal with Typhus and leave the Terminators distracted by the antimatter bomb and then try and take it back? Drax is going to charge into Typhus. And with an 8, that should be sufficient. With the Sulphur Hounds, we need a 9. We fail it, we're going to spend our last CP. No, we're not. We're not. Because it could go terribly wrong. If Archmagus Drax, in fact, you know what? Got to CP it, because if we don't make this charge, Drax is probably dead. Oh no. Oh no. Archmagus Drax, it is not looking good at all. He has 3 and only 3 attacks with his Omniscient Axe. He hits on 3s. He gets 2 hits. He's strength 5. Typhus is toughness 5. Oh no. Oh no. That is not looking good. However, Typhus has 6 attacks back into Archmagus Drax with the cleave. He misses with 1. He's wounding him on 3s. He fails with 3. It is a plague weapon. 4 wounds. It's -3. Drax has a 5-up invulnerable save. He needs to pass 3 of these. 9 damage on Archmagus Drax. He is cleaved in half by a wounded Typhus. Not a lot happening for the Death Guard. Everybody is moving forward just that little bit more. Typhus, of course, ran around the side of the Archaeopter, and the Terminators have come forward onto the bomb to protect Typhus from those Cerberus Raiders. So, in the Psychic phase, we're going to cast Gift of Infection onto the Cerberus Raiders. We get it on a 10, so they are now toughness 2. And what we're also going to do now is cast Smite, which fails Typhus Perils. In fact, you know what? No, we've just generated that 1 command point. I was going to use it on +1 to hit from the Terminators, but we've got to re-roll that Peril. He gets a 4, so it still fails, but he doesn't explode. So, the Terminators will now fire everything they've got into those Cerberus Raiders. So 2 shots from the Blight Launcher, 2 hits, strength 6, fishing for 2s. And of course, a Blight Launcher is -2. Cerberus Raiders have a 4 save, so we're looking for them 6-up invuns. We fail them both, and at 2 wounds or 2 damage each, that does kill 1. I keep saying Cerberus Raiders, they are Sulphur Hounds, but that does kill 1 of them. Next up, though, we've got 3. No, we don't. We have 2 combi bolters because one of them has a flail. 1 reroll because of Typhus. And we're wounding on 2s because they're now toughness 2. And that's all of them. We've got a 4-up save. Oh, 4 damage kills another one and puts a wound on a 3rd. Meanwhile, the Marines here on the left take aim across at the Sulphur Hounds. 8 bolt gunshots, and every single one of them hits. They are wounding them on 2s. 1 fail. We're on a 4-up save. So the wounded one dies. The next one takes 2 wounds, leaving the Alpha and a single wound 1 left. But Blight Launcher's next. We only get the 2 hits. We get 2 wounds, 6 up invulnerable. Leaves the alpha on 1 wound remaining. And that is everything that they've got to shoot with. So the Terminators are going to charge straight into that Sulphur Hound Alpha. And with a 6, they will make it. I'm just going to go with a flail straight away here, because it's not going to make much difference. Okay, maybe it will. 1 hit. That's a wound, 6 up invulnerable save, which we fail, so that would kill it. So that is the Sulphur Hounds gone. They'll then consolidate straight back to where they are around Typhus. It's not looking good for the Admech at all. It's not looking so hot for the Admech now. The Vanguard jumped out of the Archaeopter, waited for it to fly off, and then moved forward with Typhus in their sights. Typhus on 1 wound. So the Archaeopter's hopefully going to be able to lay down some serious firepower, and of course we've also got the Dragoon to hopefully come in, skewer the last of the Terminators, and run off with parts of the STC. Not going to be able to fully recover it at this point due to Archmagus Drax's demise, but 2 Transonic Arquebus into Typhus. We get 2 hits, strength 7. We get 1 wound. Do I want to spend a CP to reroll that? Or do I want to keep the CP for +1 to hit on them Vanguard? I've got to take Typhus out. Got to. 2 wounds. Oh, Typhus fails them both. 2d3 damage. Wow, that would have been 5, so it would have been 3 damage in total. So with Typhus slain, it now opens up the Terminators. We've got a lot of firepower coming into them, but they are super resilient. It's not looking so hot for the Admech. The Archaeopter strafing left and right, pouring its heavy stubbers into the Terminators, and everything plinked off the armour. The Radium Carbines have plinked off the armour. But next, we've got the Plasma Cavaliers. I'm not overcharging because they reduce the damage anyway. Wow. We get a single hit. It is strength 7. It does wound. Invulnerable save. Failed. Does 1 damage. So there's a Terminator remaining on 1 wound. And then 3 whole Terminators left. Oh my god. This is not looking good at all. We've got to charge. The Dragoon charging. Gets 6, so that is in. And the Vanguard charging. They also make it in on a 10. I'm hoping that -1 toughness from them is going to lend a hand to the Dragoon. And it is indeed going to help out. Rad Saturation dropping the Terminators to toughness 4. The Sidonian Dragoon coming in at strength 8. We've only got 3 attacks with that Taser Gourd. We get a 6. Very nice. Strength 8. Fishing for 2s. 2 1s. And it is -1. So it is 2 damage each, but Death Guard reducing it to 1. So kills a Terminator and puts a single wound on the next one. 6 attacks in total from the Vanguard. All hit. Fishing for 5s because they're only strength 3. We get 1. And the Terminators save it. So, do we deal with the Dragoon? Do we get rid of the infantry? I think we've got to get rid of the infantry. So, flail up first. Wow, the flail missing so much. And that's 2 wounds, 6 up save. Now, that is not nice. 7 attacks from the axes coming in now. 1 miss. This is, of course, from the champion and 1 Terminator. 2's to wound, and it's a plague weapon. 2's to wound because of the -1 toughness aura. Yeah, there we go. I did fail 4, 2 save, but that destroys the Vanguard. So the Death Guard, of course, generating a single command point in this turn. The Plague Marines are pushed forward, the Poxwalkers are pushed forward. We don't have a lot to do. So what we're going to do first of all is put the 8-bolt guns from these Marines into the 2 ranges up on that shelf. The Blight Launchers will go for the Archaeopter. 2 misses in total. They are within 9 inches of the Terminators, so the -1 toughness to toughness 2, so 2s. Uh-oh. And 3s because we're in cover. Wow, we make every single one. The 2 Blight Launchers are up next. 3 hits because we're in hover mode. Plague Weapon. And that is 2 wounds, I believe. No, it's toughness 7. That's no wounds. Single bolt gun from this guy and a bolt pistol up into the Rangers. 2 hits. No wounds either. Not a good turn for the Death Guard. So as a result, charges, the 2 Poxwalkers make a 5-inch charge into that. It's -1 to hit. They get 2 hits, strength 3, 1 wound. They do a single wound to the Sidonian Dragoon. The Dragoon, of course, going to get to fight back. Terminators. We get 2 hits in total. We get 1 wound. And that is a failed save. And its 2 damage drops to 1 because of Death Guard. The Flail will swing next, hitting on 4s. 2s. The Dragoon has a 4 save, drop to a 6 up. And it's 2 damage each. That's 4. Leaves it on 1 wound remaining. We've got 7 attacks from the Terminators. 2 misses. Wow. Strength 5. Fishing for 5, so that's 2. And that's 2 failed saves. I did not... Might want to explode. No! It is removed. And with that, the Admech have one last-ditch attempt to get rid of those Terminators. I don't think it's going to be possible. So we've got 12 heavy stubber shots coming in from the Transvector. 1 miss. Wow, that is some shooting. 5s to wound. That's a decent roll. That's 1 failed save. That kills the wounded Terminator. 2 Transonic Arquebus. 2 hits. And no wounds. And at the end of turn 5, the Death Guard Terminators secure the antimatter bomb and win victory over Roland's Forge. The Archaeopter picks up the 2 remaining Rangers and makes a beeline back to Mars to inform the other Tech Priest Dominus, in particular Belisarius Call. So a victory today for the Death Guard. I genuinely thought that the Death Guard weren't going to survive long enough there. Despite all those Admech reinforcements, they just kept pushing and staying still and not falling. So that was a pretty cool game. I definitely enjoyed it, folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. If anybody else has any ideas for any fun little narrative missions like this, please get in touch and let me know. Of course, we are looking to do these ideally once a week, but definitely once a fortnight. So thank you very much for watching, folks. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you are able to do so, support us via Patreon or by becoming a YouTube member. Check out the rest of the channel for more narrative battle reports, normal battle reports, reviews, and Marvel Crisis Protocol as well.